Today on the workbench, got a new project here. This is a Rivarossi 2666. It's a Allegheny. Of course, you can just see the tender here. This does have DCC in it. This is one of their first run Alleghenies. And I'm going to change this over. I've got a Soundtraxx Steam 2 decoder that I've had laying around. Well, I might as well just do this. And then I'm going to put some scale sound system speakers in it. I'm not sure what size I'm going to use. These are 12 by 25s. Because there's only one speaker in this underneath. And it doesn't have a real good sound. But we'll change this out and see what happens. And I'm not sure what else I'm going to need for this. So to take this apart, we pull that screw out right in front of the pin there. And then basically just pull up on the thing. And that releases the tender. So, like I say, this does have an ESU, and I believe this is a V4. So this is old. And if you'll note, this is in upside down. Oh, let me get this. This is in upside down on this board. And that's the way it comes. That's the way it's supposed to be. So we'll go ahead and pull that off of there. And there's nothing wrong with this decoder. I'm just not a ESU person. So in reality, put it on the right way. In reality, this is the way that should go. Oh, wait a minute. What did I do there? So this one would have to go on this way. Well, anyway, we need to figure out what speakers we're going to use. So, like I say, I've got these 12 by 25s. And I may get lucky here and basically just put them in front and rear here, and we'll be good to go. So I may do that. So, and well, let's pull this board off, and we'll see, because I do have to unhook the speaker. I can keep holding my screwdriver. I have one of the newer Alleghenies, and I think in it I put a speaker up in under the sand domes of that locomotive. So here's our two speaker wires. Turn my heat gun or soldering iron on. Can't even talk today. I'm going to turn this thing back around and lay this off back here. So I don't need a keep alive in this. I'll have to measure this. So I'm looking at this piece that sticks down. I don't know if that So those can open up. Little hatches. I don't know if they would ever need to or not. Because I could put one of these speakers right here, basically in the coal load. Have it firing down. Because if I put this here, I think that would be in the way of the box in there. So I may not be able to use this. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to use before I get into this. Before we figure out what I'm going to get here, I'm going to cut the speaker wires off. I can get that up out of the way, and I'm going to remove this weight, because that's where the factory speaker is. Mounted right into the weight. So let's get rid of that thing. And that's a fairly hefty weight. So I don't want to get rid of all of it. $100 ohms. All right, let's just put that out of the way. Do that and just eliminate that, but no, we won't do that. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I ended up, of course you can see I put the decoder on there, but I've got that weight pulled out, and I cut the wires for the LED because it was just kind of in my way, and I wanted to get rid of this so I could just work on the shell. But I'm going to pull this out that's underneath these hatches, because nobody's going to ever see that. So I'm just going to apply some pressure here, and that'll come right off. You can see those two studs down in there where that thing registers on. So if I ever want to reuse this thing, I can put it right back on. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'll fasten these speakers, at least one of them, up here to the top, and it fits in there nicely. It won't even fall out right there. So I don't know if I could put, I've got enough room to put both of them in right there with some nice double-sided tape. So I think that's how I'll put these. I just need to clean those up. And here I go once again, trying to get this alcohol dispenser to pump up. There it went. A cotton swab. Clean the bottom of that. Clean the bottom of that. Which is no big deal. Well, actually, before I put before I put those in, and I will clean this off. Well, I'll have room for my tape. And I think I'll go ahead and stick that in there. Well, actually, I'm going to put that on the speakers. So I'll have them firing down. Or actually, oh yeah. Could always have that lined up right underneath that. But I'll have them firing down. Okay. I want to go ahead and wire these. So let me get out some wire here. And of course, this is the same old rinse, lather, repeat that we do every time. And I'll hook these up in series. Get some solder on that, or flux. There's that. Let me move this. I think I need to change the tip out on my soldering iron here. Go ahead and tin this one. Okay. And now so there's one. I'll take that wire from the negative side, and I'm going to have these right pretty close together. It'll go to the negative side over here. I don't know if you can hear that wind blowing in the background or not. Get some pretty heavy wind gusts going on. No big deal. So now I'm going to hook this up to the positive side of this speaker. Okay. Now we get another piece of wire. And I'm going to go, now I'll just have my positive and negative side now. That will go to the board. So I'll cut this a little long. That way I'll have plenty. I'll be able to remove the shell. And I'll get another piece of wire here. I'm trying to turn this to where I won't catch that magnet. That goes to the negative side of the other speaker. And I'll cut that off fairly long. Make it match the other side. Okay. Go through a lot of that black wire. So we're ready to drop these in. Clean the bottom of those off again. And we'll get our double-sided tape. I'll have 4 pieces of that I get to contend with here in a second. Okay, there's that. Turned my meter on, or meters on. Hate for them things to set a long time. So every time I come out here, I just turn them on so they'll be on so my batteries won't corrode. Anyway. Okay, now this will be kind of fun. I want to keep it as close to this edge and centered as I can. Okay. So I think I've got them as close to center as I can get them. Get them pushed down in there a little bit. So there's what that looks like. And now I can go ahead and see what we got here now, because now that weight's covering up. We'll zoom out a little bit. That's the wrong out. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Won't be so cramped. But now we've covered all of our holes. So I think I'm going to take and drill a series of holes in this weight. Of course, maybe I could just mill out the center. That might be the way to go. That way I'll have a clear shot. So I'll be back here in a minute. Okay, so I did mill some slots in the weight. That way I can keep the maximum amount of weight and still have access there through the bottom for sound to escape. But anyway, so we've got the speakers mounted in this. Let me go ahead, put the screws back in this, and then we'll just mount our board back, solder our wires on for our speakers, and we'll be complete with this. So there's that. I believe that's the wrong screw. And that's the wrong screw also. There it is. Well, actually, the screws I put in the weight may be it. And that one is, the head is stripped out on that one a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, that's better. Okay. So we've got our decoder installed. We've got to hook up our lights again. Go ahead and get that stripped off. And I'll strip these speaker wires out. That way we can get everything tinned at one time. Okay, there's those two. Okay, so let me get this turned around here. And I'll get those speaker wires out of the way. I got to get the plus. Okay, now it doesn't matter which what I hook up for speakers here on this board. Okay, so there's all of our connections. Now I'm going to put this thing together and I'll give it a try, and the next time you see it, it'll be up on the test track. Alright, we've got this up on the test track, and this was a fairly straightforward install with the Soundtraxx Tsunami 2 Steam decoder, the two scale sound system speakers. Fit really nice in there. The only lighting functions we have the front and rear lights. It also has a firebox flicker in there. You really can't see it. You have to be basically standing on your head to see the thing. But anyway, let's go ahead. Of course, we've got the whistle. And that is not a prototypical whistle. I just changed it to something that I like. Of course, we've got our bell. But let's get this thing moving. I do have the articulated exhaust set in this. So that's speed step 2. I have the volume turned down to about 125. So we'll get that up a little bit farther, and then we'll reverse it. Of course, you can see our reverse light there. That's speed step 5. I do need to change the couplers out and put KDs on it. But yeah, other than that, this was a nice straightforward project. Pretty simple. So, thanks for watching.